All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Madeline Parker, and I'm the operations manager for the NSLP side of our office. Today, we're just going to talk about some back to school reminders, including free and reduced applications, and then submitting claims for reimbursement each month. So again, we're going to talk about the free and reduced applications, specifically the case numbers, other source categorical eligibility, so the homeless, migrant, runaway, and foster. We'll talk about direct certification, running the direct certification list, student eligibility reported locally versus what's reported by the Department of Health and Human Services. And then we'll end with talking about claims for reimbursement. So entering claims, edit check reports, and then entering October claim data. And if you have any questions that come up during the presentation, throw them in the Q&A box, and we should have some time at the end to go through any questions that we have. And this also is being recorded, and we will post it on our website for viewing at a later time. So free and reduced applications. So again, we'll cover case numbers, the other source categorical eligibility, and then social security numbers as well. So case numbers, as I'm sure all of you are familiar with at this point, so starting this school year, if a household does provide a case number on an application and either the student or the students are not on the direct certification list, the household must submit backup documentation. So this would be the notice of decision that they would have gotten from the Department of Health and Human Services. And on that notice of decision, make sure that case number is for SNAP or TANF if it's not for Medicaid. So there has been some confusion that I've seen so far this year on what is SNAP and what might be under Medicaid. So if you're ever wondering or if the district ever has a question, just reach out to our office. Don't send any of the notice of decisions right to our office if it has student names on it. Reach out to us first and we'll send you an encrypted email back, and then you can respond to that just to make sure all that student data is safe. And then other source categorical eligibility. So if a household checks off migrant, runaway, or homeless in step 1 of the application, these statuses must be confirmed with the appropriate program staff prior to these benefits being granted. So if the school district cannot confirm the student's homeless, migrant, or runaway status, the household must then complete an income-based application. If the income is already provided on that same application and you can't confirm the status, you can go ahead and determine that application based off the income after you have tried to discuss with school officials on getting that confirmation. And again, if a household checks off foster child, you do not have to get back up for that one. That one's taken at face value. And then social security numbers, this is something that has come up a few times this school year. So a complete income-based application or other source categorically eligible application must include the last 4 digits of a household's member's social security number or an indication that there is no social security number. This field cannot be left blank on these applications. So the same goes for web-based applications. The application software, it can't let the household submit their income-based application or other source categorical eligibility applications without providing the last 4 digits, or the application is considered incomplete. It shouldn't let them progress if this is not included. And now we'll go into direct certification. So there are 3 ways to run or to conduct direct certification in our system. So in my NHDOE, so there's running it by the eligible report roster. So that's just when you select your district and you just pull the whole roster by your district, or you can select by school, whichever you prefer. You can query by file. So that's when you upload your own roster, either by SASN number or by name, and just making sure all the headers are correctly labeled as it says to in my NHDOE, or it will cause an error. And then you can also query by individual student. So you can either put in their SASN number or their first and last name and date of birth. So this might be beneficial if you have some newer students in your district that might not be uploaded to our system if you haven't uploaded the beginning of the year roster yet. And then if you just type in their SASN number or the first and last name again, it'll come up and it'll say, as you can see in the red font here, this is what comes up when the student is not eligible. And if they were to be eligible, the font would be in green and it would say student is eligible. So what you have to do just for backup for that student is take a screenshot and then make sure the date is in there as well as when that was ran. And hopefully when the roster gets caught up with the system, they will eventually end up on your district or your school's direct certification list. And students on the direct certification list that are listed under SNAP or TANF are data matched from the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services. And then the students that are on the list as homeless, migrant, runaway, or foster are locally reported by your district officials. So the SFA must have backup documentation for all the students that are listed on the DC list as homeless, migrant, runaway, and or foster, because this is something that we will look at an administrative review. When we look at your eligibility roster, we're going to see how those determinations were made by your local officials. So if a student is homeless, you should have, an email from the homeless liaison or a list of all the homeless students in your district, for example, that's signed by the homeless liaison or the appropriate program official. Just because that is something that we will look at an administrative review. And now we'll get into the claims for reimbursement. So entering claims each month, how to enter them, the highest number over the month for free, reduced, and paid. Talk about specifically entering October claim data, and then we'll talk about the edit check report as well. So entering claims. So the claims each month should be entered as the highest number during the month. So the highest free, reduced, and paid that you get at any time during that month. I know that some in the past our office might have said something different, but this is what should be done moving forward if the SFA is not doing this currently. And then for October, the free, reduced, and paid numbers on the October claim must be reported as the highest number after that 30-day carryover period has ended. So your highest number might be before that carryover period has ended, but since that's technically last year's eligibility data, we want to capture that highest number after that 30-day carryover period is totally over. So you might see a decrease from your September to October free and reduced paid numbers, which is pretty typical, and then it might go up a little bit in November. And now we'll talk about the edit check report. This is just something I wanted to highlight as I've seen that some districts are unaware of what this report is. And it's especially important if you are, every month you need to run this report before you put your claims in, but especially during an administrative review, this is something that we ask for. So edit checks are the procedures that are used by the district to compare each school's daily count of free, reduced, and paid lunches against the product of the number of children in that school is currently eligible for free, reduced, and paid. And then it's then times by an attendance factor. So USDA regulations require that the SFAs complete an edit check for each school that participates in NSLP prior to the monthly claim being submitted. And then again, the purpose of the edit check is just to identify any errors in the school's lunch or the breakfast counts. And then if there's any problems with the meal counting and claiming. So just so the necessary corrections can be made before that claim is submitted. And here's just an example to make it maybe a little bit more clear. So just an example, there's 100 students who are free, 50 who are reduced, and 150 who are paid status. So you would times that by an attendance factor, which not everybody attends school every day. So let's just, as an example, say the attendance factor is about 95%. And then it just shows you what the highest number of paid lunches could be for that month. And then when you're submitting your monthly claim, you can just see if those claims are too high or if they seem really low. You can just look at your edit check report and then see if there's anything that needs to be double checked before the claim is submitted. And if you have any questions about the edit check report, just contact our office and we are more than happy to talk through it with you. And this report, if you have a manual system, you might have to do it manually, but most of you have that point of service software system and there's an edit check report tab that you can run right through your POS. So if you have trouble running it through your POS, you'll need to reach out to the company directly, not because we can't really help you with that, but if you have any questions regardless of what the report is, feel free to contact our office. So those are just the updates I have today. I will hang out and see if there's any questions regarding any of the topics that we talked about. And again, this will be post it on our website. We'll send the slides out. And if you have any questions that you don't want to ask over the presentation, you can go ahead and send me in an email.